Welcome, everyone, to the OSCPA High School Accounting Course Enhancement Workshop. This is targeted toward our high school educators, so teachers, administrators. It could be a building administrator or district administrator. We're glad you're joining us. This is all about aligning student learning with workforce needs, with expert support, resources, and opportunities. Today, we have a lovely cast of experts joining us who are going to share throughout the presentation. We have Dr. Tiffany Crosby, who's the Senior Vice President at OSCPA, Hannah Thomas, who's the Manager of Student Initiatives at OSCPA, Martin Blaine, an accounting professor from Columbus State Community College, and Allie Strom, a talent consultant at EY. I'm Christy Venny, and I'll be your host. I am a former K-12 educator and administrator with 20 years experience specifically around pathways and career readiness. So let's get started and dive in. Our agenda today is going to consist of learning a little bit about who OSCPA is, exploring accounting in Ohio, looking at college pathway options, talking about what a pathway to becoming a CPA looks like now. Hint, there have been some changes. We're going to look at high school opportunities and resources for you to use with your students. There's a summer educator workshop that's going to take place, and we're going to talk about how we want to stay connected with you. So to get started, we're going to begin. Dr. Crosby, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Ohio Society of CPAs?
Sure. So I am a CPA by background and trade, and I have been in this profession for over 30 years. It's hard to say that. I know I don't look it. I have really been around the profession in a number of ways. I have been more on the practice side in both at accounting firms and in industry. I have done the educational side and actually still teach as an adjunct. And down on at the Ohio Society, where I really focus on creating an environment where businesses can thrive and then where the accounting talent can thrive. So trying to make sure we have the right things in place, the quality learning and development, that we're promoting the profession and then promoting the CPA brand and credential, advocating for interests of our CPAs and of all of the myriad of organizations that they serve, which span in size and industry sector, and all those things. And then really trying to drive a pipeline and create that awareness as to the opportunities that exist in the profession and all the different things you get to do, even just taking my own career and all of its different pivot points that I've had and both accounting firm and industry and in education and now in an association. So really trying to showcase the doors that are open when you focus on accounting as your study area. And so we do all of that, and we have a wide membership base that really spans the smallest of companies up to the largest of companies, local to international. And so we have thousands, and we're one of the largest state societies in the nation, and we pride ourselves on that and what we do for our members and what we do for the profession.
That's fantastic. And I know the answer to this because I've had the privilege of working with you for several years since I was in a K-12 school district. Can you tell us, why is OSCPA working with K-12 schools?
We have actually worked with K-12 school, or really high school. So first I'm going to say, we started working with high schools a while ago to really do student programs to try and develop that pipeline. But we expanded our focus to include the whole spectrum of K-12 because we recognize that there is a lot of misunderstanding or misperceptions of what accounting is or what you do, or in some cases, a complete lack of awareness of it because you're just not as exposed to it as you are in other careers. We have this whole talent shortage, and so there is a significant need for accountants. And so we really wanted to make sure that we were doing all that we could to help teachers, educators, to help parents, others, really with that whole realm of career awareness, exploration, and then planning so that their students would be able to make informed choices, right? You can't be if you don't know it, you can't be it. If you don't see it, you can't be it. So, how do we better expose them to those types of opportunities and careers?
Said. That is amazing. And we're going to get into that a little bit more later in the webinar. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about accounting in Ohio. And I'm going to hand it over to Allie to share about this. And Allie, could you tell a little bit about yourself before you dive in?
Sure. Thanks, Christy. Similar to Tiffany, I have been around the accounting space for a while in Ohio and specifically. So my background is finance and accounting. So that was my background by education. I was one of those students where accounting just clicked for me. And I said, no way am I going into this path. So I actually was a finance major undergrad and didn't pick up accounting until my master's in accounting. To Tiffany's point, I didn't have role models that were in accounting. I didn't know what the opportunities were in accounting. So I was a late bloomer to the accounting space, but finance undergrad, picked up accounting as my master's degree. And again, to Tiffany's point, there's so many opportunities in the accounting space. So I have been at EY since I graduated in a number of different roles. So I started really in that kind of bread and butter accounting space in public accounting. EY is one of the big four public accounting professional services firms. So did financial statements audits in around Ohio and some other states as well. Really built the kind of backbone of understanding how business works. And then a few years into my career, I was talking with my mentor, he's a partner with the firm. And I said, I love this firm. I love accounting. I don't know if I see myself in 20 years doing this exact same thing. So I actually moved into the talent space and the HR space and was in campus recruiting for a number of years. So Hannah and I do very similar things, spend so much time with students. That's been my passion area professionally is removing barriers for students, making sure they understand what they can go into, the opportunities. And most recently, my role with the firm is supporting through an HR function. So again, I work with people that are interns all the way up through people that are partners about to retire from the profession.
That makes you perfect to talk today with our educators on this webinar. If you could tell a little bit about accounting careers in Ohio, the types of roles, as well as what are the skills that you're looking for right now in hiring and I mean in developing the people in your company?
Sure. There's never a bad time to be an accountant. Honestly, it's one of those, we call it future proof. You say it's the opportunity profession. Accountants are in demand. CPAs are in demand all the time, right? I think we talk about it all the time. AIs, you see all these things like technology will take the jobs. That has not proven out. There's always some new technology and it helps enable our jobs in the accounting space. So we are in growth mode in Ohio. The really great thing about Ohio accounting is we have businesses all different sizes, some of them being small sole proprietors all the way up through global multinational companies. And we're in all sectors. So if there's a student who thinks they want to work in a certain industry, it exists in Ohio, and there's always accounting roles within Ohio. There's some growth stats here. Again, on both the job opportunity piece, we expect growth in the job opportunity space, right? If you look on LinkedIn, there are always people hiring for accountants. We need that expertise in every company. But the other piece of it that I'm excited about is the salary continues to go up in the accounting space. So it's competitive. You don't need to go into medicine or being an attorney or things like that to be really having a strong career.
Allie, are you telling me that if I've got a student who is really into, say, sports or athletics, or one of our talented artists, or kids who are into the music industry, or design, or manufacturing, all of these industries, accounting matters. Is that accurate?
That's right. I've heard so many anecdotal stories just from people on their career path. We've had double majors in accounting and fashion before, and they're like, I don't know how to combine this. And sometimes it's a passion project, those two majors. And sometimes we can actually marry those up and you can have a career path in that space. I talked with someone recently who's an accountant on movie sets. So he is the person that puts the budget together for how many explosions you're allowed to have in some scene, right? How many times they can retake a scene. So honestly, you name it, whether it's governmental, private, sports, there's people that I'm friends with that audit sports teams. That's super fun to be able to combine those interests.
That just widens the options for young people who might have that skill set that aligns, but doesn't really know what to do with it or where it fits. And that actually leads into our next slide. You mentioned something in your comment about AI, and I'm glad you did because I've heard this come up over and over again. People say, wait, isn't AI going to take away accounting jobs? And oh, I don't want to go into that anymore because that's not going to be a good investment of my time. You're saying I heard you hint at no, that's not accurate. Could you build on that a little bit and maybe talk about some of the other skills as well that they need?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll answer the AI piece of that first, and then we can get into the human skills, technical skills. I like the breakdown. So really, AI and any of these technology tools, right? There's a bunch of data analytics that have really been integral into our workforce as well. We keep hearing, you read it in the news that jobs will go away, that are we really going to need this many people to be doing the same jobs? And the truth is, hopefully we're not doing the same jobs. We want to be able to be a technology enabled. So AI is one of those pieces. It enables us to get to that human part of our jobs in the accounting, finance, business space where judgment is involved. So there have been so many great things that have happened recently that instead of spending an entire day on reporting, you can get to the actual decision making part sooner, right? The reporting can be done for you. You can wake up and it's done on Monday morning. And now you get to dive into the data. You get to synthesize it. You get to be a liaison with the different business departments. So we're excited about it because it's enabled people to get to the better, more interesting, more judgment parts of the job in the accounting space. I think back to even when I started in the audit space, then the type of manual type of work I was doing versus what you get to do today. So it's really bringing down the decision making, the judgment, the using your brain the way that students and professionals want to. It's bringing that down even to earlier in your career.
That's fantastic. I think that's good for our educators to hear. And now they have some talking points to use with students and families and their counselor colleagues on what does it actually look like now? Because things have changed, like you said, since you started your career to now. It hasn't been that long. It's really shifted quite quickly. Can you dig in a little bit more to some of those other either human or technical skills that you think are really valuable that you're looking for right now?
Yes. And the good news is it's probably transferable skills, whether they want to be in accounting or not. I would say these are skills that our students need coming out of high school to be successful adult, to be able to take it into any career. So that's the good news. I do think I have been back to many a career day in seventh and eighth grade or in high school. And the students that say they like math they get plugged into the accounting, right? That is a little bit off. I would say if you like math, you probably will like accounting. But if you're not some calculus level AP, BC calculus, that's okay too. Again, we've got Excel that we work in a lot. So on that technical side, we would absolutely expect people to be comfortable with numbers and to be comfortable navigating the formulas in Excel. But really, the majority of the skills that you need to be successful are more the soft skills. It's communication, it's curiosity, it's wondering, looking at a problem and saying, okay, what are some proposed solutions? Who do I need to bring into this? The people that are the most successful in the business world and in accounting specifically, they're problem solvers and they're curious and they're always thinking about how can I improve on this, whatever it may be process, right? And a big part of that is teaming together. So, you know, I think when I was going through school, I thought I was going to be sitting at a desk by myself if I was in accounting. That could not be less true, right? You work with the team. Hopefully, it's a really diverse team that can question each other's perspectives on things as well. and then just being organized. So I think anyone that can keep all their classes and their projects and homework and all of that ready to go junior year and senior year of high school, that we will ask the same of you going into your professional setting.
I'm glad you brought that up. You actually hit on some of these essential traits of successful CPAs. This is available on the
Yeah.
OSCP website, but you already mentioned several: organized, curious. I think you said something about like collaboration and strategy. Are there any other of these that you want to touch on that maybe people hadn't considered? I know you said the math stereotype, which I think we all heard that before. Anything else on here you want to point out?
I would say from an essential trait, the ones on the screen are really a great start, right? I think curiosity is a big one. Adaptable is one that we continue to hear from educators, that we need resilience, right? People need to be flexible and resilient. And when you are going to, in your professional career, you're going to reach some sort of roadblock. How do you deal with it from there? So that is what, if I could talk with the educators on what we can do in school, it's really that adaptation, being flexible, having goals in mind, but recognizing things will change, and really that resilience, I would say. The last piece, and just, I do think that we as CPAs pride ourselves on the ethical piece. So that's a piece that is embedded into our culture as CPAs. We are trusted with data. We're trusted with running processes. We're trusted with kind of keeping those capital markets, making sure that people in the public have trust in the financial statements and have trust in the companies and in organizations. So I do think we really pride ourselves on that ethics piece, right? It's embedded into our continuing education as CPAs. We are in a fiduciary role for our clients and for our organization. So I do think that's a pillar of the profession as well.
Oh, that's a great, thank you for explaining all of that. That's really helpful. And being a CPA is a very respected role. And all of these things, it makes sense when you hear all of those traits that make a successful CPA. Allie, thank you so much. This has been really helpful hearing from your perspective, having that HR mindset and also your background. We're going to keep moving and we're going to dive in a little bit to post-secondary pathways for our educators to see what might that look like now. And we have Martin Blaine with us from Columbus State Community College. Martin, do you want to share a little bit about you so we can get to know your background?
Yeah, sure. So my history is a little bit like Allie's. I can remember starting in college, having no interest in accounting, though I had role models. My dad was a CPA and my uncle was a CPA. And I just thought, whatever. And then my dad said, take one accounting class. And I said, fine, I'll take one accounting class. And then I just kept taking accounting classes. And and the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today, I think the thing that I really enjoyed in school was tutoring. I was an accounting tutor as part of my financial aid, and I really enjoyed that. And so that really led me to where I am now at Columbus State. I did have a stop along the way at Deloitte and Teddy Touche, and I worked for a food manufacturer here in Columbus as well. But this is where I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be in a teaching role. And that's what I do at Columbus State now. I've been at Columbus State for over a decade, and I work on course design and work with students as we are going to talk about workforce development and things like that, as well as in the classroom. And so that's what I do at Columbus State. So
Fantastic. We're going to dive right into Columbus State as an
let's do
example.
it.
We wanted to share with
Yeah.
educators, what does it look like when a young person goes to get an accounting degree? How did they
Mhm.
begin? And for our educators listening, a lot of them are familiar with their students already starting to take college courses while still in high
Sure.
school. That's a thing now. And we'll get more. I'll let you talk about it since you're the expert. But can you walk us through what does an accounting degree pathway look like starting at the community college level?
So, sure. It's going to depend on where the student wants to end up eventually. And so if you are hard set on being a Buckeye, or you have your heart set on going to the University of Cincinnati or into some of the schools, bigger schools in the state of Ohio, then your pathway is going to look a little different than it will be if you end up going somewhere else. For us, we have essentially a program where you can create your own future in terms of the courses you take. And so if you are interested in exploring accounting earlier in your career, then you can get an associate's degree in accounting at Columbus State. And at most of our 2-year institutions, you can get a degree similar to the one that we have. They're not all the same, but they're pretty similar to the one that we offer. And you can see here the courses you would take. If you have experience or if you're an accounting major yourself, you can see that our 2-year students have taken pretty much all the accounting courses that you would take in an undergraduate degree. As a matter of fact, we have more accounting courses in our associate's degree than I got in my undergraduate degree. And so our students are walking out of Columbus State with an associate's degree and with a lot of educational experience to be able to go into and shift into a 4-year school or into the workforce directly if they aren't interested in that 4-year degree. Obviously, we're talking about CPA pathways in this call. And so in order to get to that CPA, you need to continue your 4-year education in the state of Ohio now. But if you are interested in going into the workforce, and maybe the CPA is for you, maybe it isn't, 2-year degree potentially could be a good pathway to do.
And I'm glad you brought that up. You're mentioning how there are lots of pathway options. It's not just plan on just straight to the 4-year degree, get the license,
100%.
go to work. There are different entry points. Students might start early with early college, even while in high school, because they know they're interested and they
Absolutely.
want to accelerate. Their school might not offer accounting as a course and they want to take Columbus State classes or their local community college if they're elsewhere. And then let's say a student does go through the Columbus State program and gets that associate's degree. What kind of options, what does it look like if they wanted to get some kind of work, some kind of job at that point, get a little experience, be in the world
Yeah.
of work, make some money before continuing for their CPA license and that the next 2 years of their degree? What kind of options exist for that?
A lot of options, actually. We
Oh,
have,
okay.
over the last couple of years, we've had students in public accounting roles. We've had students in governmental roles like tax support, state auditor support, roles that, and if you need evidence for what's happening with the accounting market in Ohio, you need only look at what's happened with our students, where those opportunities 5, 10 years ago weren't really around for Columbus City students. Now we've had career fairs with 15 accounting firms and 15 different groups there to recruit our students that had maybe they aren't even done with this 4th semester. Maybe they're only 2 or 3 semesters into their career, and companies understand what they need to do, and they need to recruit students when they're earlier on in their paths in order to find the talent before someone else snaps it up. So the lots of opportunities, and we're talking competitive salaries, $20 to $25 an hour, while still working on your associate's degree. This is competitive, as far as I'm concerned, very competitive salaries.
And some employers now might have tuition incentives where they'll pay for some of those next steps to gain additional
Absolutely.
education and certification. There could be support or mentorship or other incentives. As Allie mentioned and Tiffany they both mentioned, the accounting field in Ohio, it's growing, and with retirements looming by 2030, 50% of current accountants will be at retirement age, and by 2035, 75% will be at retirement age. On top of that, you've got 5 to 6% growth for CPAs, and then some of the other roles that were on the slide from Allie showed there's 16, 20% growth in accounting and finance related roles in Ohio. So definitely, I hear you, Martin. There are opportunities for young people. So getting that education and whatever that pathway looks like, there's not a one way to do this. I'm curious. So let's dig in a little to a student gets a 2-year degree, their associates in accounting at Columbus State. I have another slide here. What does transfer look like? What if they want to move on and get the rest of it? Can you talk a little bit about that? It's confusing, I think, to some educators.
Sure. And it's confusing to them because it's confusing. It's a lot of complexity in terms of how these things transfers and what classes transfer. And that's why I will talk to accounting students in the very first class they're in. If they tell me, I'm interested in going to Ohio State, I'm interested in going here or there, to make sure that they start those conversations early about what that's going to look like when they transfer. We have transfer programs with all the schools listed, but they're all different. And so if you look at the different transfer agreements we have, some of them take all of our classes, some of them take less of our classes. And so we try to avoid students going in and taking classes that they don't need, because they're going to have to retake those same courses at the institution where they end up transferring. And so we try to minimize that as much as we can. the bottom line is there's options available to you. And there's no reason to wait. You can start on most of the college credit you're going to get in the CCP program is credit that's going to work no matter where you end up. And so if you go and get English credit and maybe a little bit of accounting credit and some other general education credit, those are going to help you along the path to any of these schools on the screen. And so I think that's a really good, like, for anyone that's interested in CCP or promoting CCP college credit for high school students, accounting is absolutely 100% going to be right in your wheelhouse and right. That's a target for.
That's great. And I heard a couple things that I want to emphasize about what you said for our educators listening. That early planning piece is so important for young people, even in high school when they're starting to plan out what they want to do. So maybe talking to your school counselor, or if there's a school you want to go to, there are websites. So this is the Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathways. I pulled it from there. You can look up and see how different courses transfer. You plug them in and it'll tell you where they go and where they're accepted, which is great. You also mentioned with College Credit Plus for Ohio students, that program would also run 7th through 12th grade. So there's a lot of opportunity. Taking those basic required courses, so you said like the Englishes and things that are general requirements, great starting place. And then some of those entry-level accounting classes, there's a good chance those are going to transfer wherever they go. But again, early planning. I heard that.
I can tell you, if you take that at Columbus State, they're absolutely going to transfer anywhere in the state of Ohio because we have transfer guarantees in the state of Ohio.
Sure.
And so that's certainly anytime you're taking a college class, transfer should always be something you ask about. Even if you think you're in your final spot in terms of education, you should always be asking questions about accreditation and transfer possibilities, because when you go to get your master's degree or and you continue your education, it's helpful to know what those options are and how flexible your education is.
Absolutely. And for our educators on the call, if your students have part-time jobs that they're planning on keeping when they graduate from high school and they're going to go to Columbus State or another local community college or university, sometimes employers will pay, they'll have some sort of a tuition incentive. Even at, for example, my son is doing this and he works at Kroger. They will pay if he's working a certain number of hours for that tuition. So young people often don't know to check this. It's another way to incentivize and remove barriers for young people who might, if there's a financial burden, definitely making sure they're filling out all their financial aid forms, really just getting them all the information they need so that they know they can do this and that this is a pathway for them. So as an educator, whatever we can do to empower and help get them on the right path is definitely worth our time. Anything else, Martin, that you want to add to the conversation about this?
I don't think so. I really feel like I can echo the sentiments from that have been already spoken, which is that the opportunities for students in accounting are massive and plentiful. And if you look at the traits of Fortune 500 CEOs, CPA is a consistent part of that background. And so you can see that. This is really a launching path for a lot of different careers. If you want to start in accounting, you can leverage that. I have friends that started in accounting and are working in operations, in marketing, in HR, in all different types of areas. Accounting is a really great foundational starting point for anything connected to business or nonprofit or any kind of area where your heart might be or where your heart might take you. Accounting can really provide you with a really great solid base to make that transition.
Burton, I think we discussed on an earlier slide, but entrepreneurship was listed, right? There are so many people from my friends who started at big companies, got that accounting background, and then have started their own businesses. There is not a better place. We talk with high school students all the time. They say, I want to start my own business. I have this idea. Getting that accounting background and getting that business knowledge to be able to know how to budget and be able to know, which is all of it, inventory, working with other people. It's been really cool to see accounting as a launch pad into these entrepreneurship adventures that people go on.
Yeah. When I was coming up in school, I always thought it was really corny when people would talk about accounting as the language of business. And I would always roll my eyes and think, oh, that's so ridiculous. But now that I've been doing this for so long, I think that it's really like an underrated thing that we should talk about more. If you want fluency in business, if you want fluency in financial calculations and the business communication and all these things that businesses are doing, accounting, you cannot beat accounting as a way to do that over
Mm.
any of the other potential options for you. Is accounting is really going to provide you with a really great framework to be able to speak the language of business and speak the language of how to communicate business results and how to understand and answer questions and do all the things that you're going to need to do potentially in your potential business career. Accounting is fun.
It's like you looked ahead because we're actually going to talk about entrepreneurship more with our materials that we have for K-12 educators. Thank you for teeing us up so well, Allie and Martin. And thank you for sharing your expertise about that college pathways, Martin. One thing we've been talking a lot about becoming a CPA, and I hinted at the beginning that there are some things that have changed for a good reason and to help people on their way to becoming a CPA. I'm wondering, Dr. Crosby, if you can enlighten us a little bit about what is the value of getting your CPA license and what is that process like now? Help our educators understand.
Sure. And I think Martin and Allie has already done a good job talking a bit about the profession and accounting. And CPA is really, if you think of it as a stamp, right? A lot of people here will be familiar with the idea of certifications. In a CPA, it isn't, there are standards that you're meeting. There is a body of knowledge that you are studying in and you're becoming proficient in. And so it really marks you as having reached a certain standard of knowledge across a wide range of topics relevant to business. And so there is a regulation and law, and there's auditing, and there's business analysis and financial reporting. So it's this wide range of topics that you now have been certified as having met a certain level of proficiency in and having gotten a certain amount of experience related to using that knowledge. And so it really sets you apart as someone who's done the hard work. You've done the hard work, you put the time in, you've learned the elements of knowledge associated with being a really upstanding business professional. It goes beyond accounting. And so the pathway to getting there and becoming a CPA really is focused on your education. And so there's two paths. And one is going to be bachelor's degree. One's gonna be master's degree. This is what's changing, right? What everything I'm sharing now is what goes into effect 1/1/26. I'm not gonna share what's before it because for this audience, doesn't matter. So this is what it will be 1/1/26. So it is a bachelor's degree or master's degree. So those are the two pathways. Pathway one is a bachelor's degree. Pathways two is a master's degree. In addition, then, with you need to make sure that you have a certain amount of education in accounting and in business. And so there is 30 credit hours in accounting, 24 credit hours in business. And that applies whether you do the bachelor's pathway or the master's pathway. The reason those two things are separated is that it means that your bachelor's degree may or may not be in accounting, but you still have to meet what is called that accounting concentration. So you might decide to study something else, but in that, you still need to get the number of accounting credit hours that you need or supplement it with additional courses to get up to those 30 credit hours in accounting and those 24 in business. So it's bachelor's, accounting concentration, and then comes the experience part. And so if you do the bachelor's pathway, you need 2 years of experience. If you do the master's pathway, you need 1 year of experience.
And Dr.
So,
Crosby, can you
no,
explain that? Like the experience part for our educators, how does that work? So a student, they say they've done their coursework and now they need to get experience. What's that look like?
experience really can look in a number of ways. What qualifies as 1 year of experience is 2,000 hours and 12 months. And that can happen in a number of ways. It can happen through internships. There are some schools who do co ops or other things, or you have summer internship opportunities. Those internships qualify as experience. It might be through a job that you have. It does not have to happen in this sequential manner. So you can be earning and getting experience even as you're doing your education. So it is not this consecutive thing that has to happen. Have to finish all my school. Now I have to get my experience. They can be occurring concurrently.
Okay, that helped a lot. Now I have a clearer picture, and I could help young people understand that it could be at the same time. One thing also, one time we had done a focus group with some college students, and they mentioned there are tons of great internships available. The key is being aware of them and applying and early, because some of them are a year or 18 months out in advance, and
Mm.
they're competitive. And the young people who pay attention and know about them and get their applications out, they're the ones that are going to get those really great internships, and how there are lovely opportunities available in our state, and it's just a matter of planning ahead.
And
Back
what I
to
would
Yeah.
Yes. And what I would add to that, internships, I cannot overemphasize the importance of internships. Not only are you getting that practical work experience, but there are many organizations, not all, but many organizations where they fill their initial entry level jobs through from their internship class. So what will often happen is through the internship, they get to know the person, right? They get to know their work habits, they get to develop them, they get coaching and mentoring, and so they've already made an investment in them. And so then they'll look and say, okay, we have these many positions to fill. We've had this many interns. Unless something really went wrong with that intern, then they're going to start there. And then by the time they get onto a college campus, they are often only filling what's left that was not filled by their internship class. So it might be 10%, 15% of their jobs. It could be lower than that. So you want to make sure that you are getting yourself these internships, because that's how you're going to have a better opportunity to get that job you really want.
That's great, and we wanna give our students a competitive advantage. All the educators listening, I'm sure, wanna make sure they prepare the kids with everything they know that will help them. All good advice. We're gonna talk a little bit more about some of those high school resources and opportunities that OSCPA provides to educators, and we're gonna do that. I'm gonna ask Hannah Thomas to introduce herself and talk a little bit about her role, and then we'll look through all of these amazing resources and opportunities.
Thanks, Christy. So I'm Hannah. I work with students directly, high school and college students. So in the high school programs, we work to really expose them to the accounting profession and sharing all of the great things they can do there. And then with college students, we work with them on getting them through their 4 years, getting them to become a CPA, and really just building their leadership and their networking portfolio.
Awesome. So, what are some of those opportunities? Can you talk us through? There's a lot on this list. I don't know if you can give a little bit of an example about each thing. That would be great.
Yeah. So CPA Camp, it's a 1-day program in the summer for students of all high school ages to learn more about the accounting profession. It's a really great day. Students have the opportunities to earn giveaways, scholarships we give out. You can also win like gift cards and fun items like that. We do 5 of them across the state. So one at Cincinnati State, one at Wright State, one at Ohio State, one at University of Toledo, and one at Kent State University. And it's really going to expose students to what it looks like to go into the accounting profession, and also a little bit about what it looks like to be an accounting student. You'll get the opportunity to do like a little mock accounting course, as well as there's a meet the recruiter session, as well as they'll also just get to interact with their peers at the event and do some fun hands-on activities.
Fantastic. And when do you usually? So the camp. These are the dates for this summer. How does that look if students want to get involved? What's the process?
Yeah, so registration is now open. So you can go right on our website and register for whichever location that you would like. You can register really anytime from now until right up until the day of the camp you want to attend.
That's perfect. Thank you. What about classroom presentations?
Classroom presentations, it's a great opportunity if your school limits you on field trips or busing, or if any of those issues arise for any of our programs we have during the school year. So we can send a local CPA directly to your classroom. We will connect you with them directly, and then you all can work out those logistical details from there. Or if you have interest in a specific sector, if you know your students are really interested in public accounting, we can get you a public accounting. Or if they're really interested in governmental, we can find someone there. You can fill that out on our website, and we'd be happy to send a CPA to your classroom.
That's wonderful. So the educators don't have to know people that are in all these roles and cold call.
Exactly.
That can be really tough. That
Yes.
can be awkward. I know that's not a favorite activity for most people. So this is awesome to have that connection. You just go on and fill out the form and get introduced and connected and take it from there. And they already have a presentation, right, that they come out and do that they're familiar with.
Yep. So we provide the presentation. It'll give a super broad overview to students. So if you're teaching like a financial literacy class or just an intro to business class, the presentation is pretty basic. So it'll really just cover everything accounting. If it is an accounting course, you can get more into those technical questions that students may have.
Ooh, so I heard you say it's not just for accounting courses. This
It
could
is
be for
not.
other courses, other classes that you want kids to know about accounting because it connects and it connects to so many other courses. That's amazing. I'm glad you brought that up, Hannah. Now, there is some curriculum that's available as well, right?
Yes. So we have a transformational CPA curriculum for high schoolers. It's completely free, and it's their opportunity to go on and learn more about some skills that they might not necessarily get in their high school curriculum, such as critical thinking, professionalism, verbal communication skills, those written communication skills. It's a really great opportunity to just build that skill set before they enter college or the workforce.
Sounds like all the skills that I know educators are trying to cover with their students and to have access to. You said free? Free
Yeah,
curriculum?
completely
Oh my
free for
gosh.
students.
Okay, so this is amazing. How do they get access to this? Who should they reach out to you? How do they get in touch?
Yeah, they can reach out to me. Also, becoming a student member of OSCPA will give them all of these wonderful resources.
That's a great idea. And that membership's free too, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So tell us about Accounting Plus.
So, Accounting Plus is another great resource for you as an educator to have in your back pocket. On Accounting Plus, you'll find a bunch of different things to do with your students. If you're looking for just like a quick video to show, maybe before a lesson, or if you're talking about a certain topic, they're on there, and the videos that they have on there are really fun. So, it's not just necessarily talking about public accounting and all of those things, which we love and we know, but maybe you want something more exciting for students. Like they have a whole series with the Pittsburgh Steelers and how accounting goes in with football. And so they can do a little more of those fun things. There's also different scholarship opportunities on there, internship opportunities on there, also some lesson planning if that's something you're interested in.
Oh, that's so helpful. And seriously, look at this young person. She looks so cool on the slide. Definitely the materials are targeted toward the audience of our educators in their classrooms. I know I've seen some videos when I've Googled stuff where I'm like, oh, this is not helping kids see themselves in the role. Accounting Plus does that. They really do have role models and the language is targeted. So I'm so glad that you brought this up because it's just such a great resource that our educators can use. And I didn't know that there were like lessons on there. That's handy too.
Yes.
Perfect. You mentioned student memberships. Can you give a little more information about what that gives access to?
Yeah. So student membership, like I mentioned, it's completely free. A student will have that membership until they graduate high school. And then once they graduate high school, they can get a college student membership, which is also completely free. Some of the things that they'll get with this membership is just updates of what's happening in the profession, such as like news, legislative developments. They'll also have opportunity to exclusive scholarships only for OSCPA student members. Also, we have like transformational CPA, learning things, and there's also a whole career center so they can go on and see different internship, full-time job opportunities as they're just searching and doing that research of their future career path.
I'm guessing my educator friends right now are like salivating over all these amazing resources and things you've just offered. So I know you also send out an email every now and again with information about updates and new resources. So if they want to get on your email list so that they can hear about all this, should they just reach out to you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me directly and we'll put you on the list and send you anything regarding like programs that we have in your area, anywhere from just updates and things happening in the profession.
I think you're going to get very popular after this webinar, Hannah.
So that's the goal.
Thank you for sharing about all
Thanks,
these
Christy.
awesome resources. I'm going to cover a couple more additional resources that are available to you now on the website. First, there's a vault of K-12 resources. This is truly K-12. It is not just high school, although we have so many great high school opportunities that Hannah just mentioned. This is a way to extend those resources into the lower grades in alignment with the Ohio Career Connections framework. And that framework has career awareness in elementary school, exploration in middle school, and planning in high school. So this vault provides activities. It's links to free resources and activities, some full curriculum available as well. So if you're an educator at the high school level listening, or a district administrator who has contacts at the middle school and elementary level, please feel free to share this with them. There's a tiny URL that'll take you right to the vault. It is free. All of the materials in there we have vetted. It is really curated, all of the things we looked through online, because there's a lot. Let's be honest. There's good stuff and then there's not good stuff. We included the good stuff for you so that we can help to start earlier. We know career awareness in elementary school is so important for young people to start to see the possibilities and widen the opportunities in front of them instead of narrow and get rid of things they think they can't do. And we know developmentally that does start to happen in middle school and definitely in elementary and definitely in middle school. So there is additional data in here about careers. If you want to just know you're pulling the right data about job openings and predictions moving forward and salaries, it's in here. There's also guidance on industry recognized credentials related to accounting, finance, and entrepreneurship. Earlier, we mentioned several times, Martin and Allie set us up, remember? Entrepreneurship is big with young people. And when we can get them to start using the skill set, the mindset associated with being an entrepreneur, accounting is so useful. And finance and accounting, there's a lot of overlap. And this guide really takes all of those areas and provides educators with tools so they don't have to dig and try and figure out what's good. It's right there at your fingertips. So check it out, share widely. It's free. And OSCPA has sponsored this so that we can make sure educators have what they need to get kids the best experiences. We also did an accounting career panel with Brandy Carson from Lazy Boy, James Rump from Schneider Downs, and Jonathan Mitchell from Stark State. This is a really cool webinar. These folks were so fun and brilliant, and their career paths were also different. So if you're looking for something to show in your classroom and you just want something that's going to fit within that 45-minute-ish time frame, this is perfect. The recording, it's at that tiny URL right there, will take you to our OSCPA YouTube channel, and you can show it to all your class periods if you like. Maybe it's the thing you do on the day you have a sub, easy peasy, and a really great learning experience for our young people. Right now, we have the first High School Forensic Accounting Challenge live. So if you're watching this and it's before April 1st, your students could still sign up and participate. It is open to high school students in 9th through 12th grade in Ohio. It could also be for homeschool students, or they could do it on their own. It doesn't have to be part of your classroom if you don't maybe have time right now, but it's something that you can offer. Give them the link to register and they will get access to all the materials. It's in a Google slide deck, step-by-step directions. It doesn't need to be teacher-led. It can be student exploration throughout the process. We recommend teams. A lot of collaboration in the accounting industry. Those are great skills to practice in high school. So please encourage your students to participate. There are gift card prizes for the top 3 teams who answer correctly. The way that they participate is they're going to submit answers to certain questions and then upload a video explaining why they chose the solution they chose and how they got to that, and giving some advice that are posted as questions in the challenge. So everything is there when they register. We also are looking to do this again next year in November during National Fraud Week, and hopefully expanding the competition to include more opportunities, maybe for even younger grades. So stay tuned. If you want to give input on this and you're interested, let us know, because we want to make it something really useful to students, and educator feedback is great. Finally, we have a summer educator workshop that we're going to be hosting Monday, June 23rd at OSCPA headquarters, which is over by Easton. It's a great space, and we're going to provide differentiated support to really dig deeper on the things we talked about on this webinar today. it's great to hear all of this, but then to try and put into practice and insert these ideas, activities, curriculum, connections to the workforce, connections with CCP, pathways for kids. It's a lot. We get that. So we want to make time with you so that you can come and learn with our experts and figure out how does it work in your classroom and take some time after the school year is wrapped up and when you're getting ramped up for that next school year so that you feel ready and excited to have your best year yet. So if you're interested in registering, the link will be available on our website. And we hope that you will join us. We also, I forgot to mention, those business partnerships that Hannah said, where we can send someone to your classroom. We want to make sure that we are also a connector for you. So colleges, businesses, they're all very excited to work with K-12 schools. And OSCPA is a great intermediary to do that matchmaking and help make sure everyone has what they need to be successful. Finally, we're going to talk about staying connected. There's some information on this slide. Tiffany, what would you recommend for our educators? What's the best way moving forward? This was a lot.
Yes. So one of the things, and we had mentioned this, was to really to get the name on our educator newsletter, right? And so submitting that to Hannah so that we can make sure that as we do it, the educator newsletter, they're receiving that. All of this, they would have links in there. There will be different information as we roll out additional curriculum, as we roll out additional resources and tools and other things that will be available to them. That's all going to be in the educator's newsletter. And then also just subscribe to our channel on social media, on LinkedIn and on Facebook and Instagram, some of those areas, just follow us because that means that those opportunities will also show up on their feed.
Fantastic. Wow. I feel like my educator brain is so happy right now. And I hope those who are watching got a lot out of this. I want to give a big thank you to all of our experts for sharing your expertise with our K-12 educators. You've been amazing and your time has been much appreciated. Thanks to everyone for joining us. And at this time, I think we are going to conclude our webinar.